It's
Any
a pardon
possible
for
crime.
anything
Yeah.
that might have happened between, sometime the month before he started doing business in Ukraine and, the end of Biden's term.
We've been running a campaign that's basically scandal-free. It's hard to do in American politics these days.
They've actually made Donald Trump look like he was right instead of them.
Today, I came to party.
Lo and behold, Trump was telling the truth about Hunter Biden and Joe Biden himself. And I love when the leftist media finally catches up. Welcome to Doug TeNapel channel. We're here in Exile. This is big time Chuck Todd. Now, Chuck Todd is one of my favorite leftist journalists and liars who covered up for Biden and for Hunter Biden for the last 4 years. You're going to be shocked at what he admits to at the end, how far this goes and how far his distrust is now for the FBI.
What kind of political gift is pardoning Hunter Biden for Donald Trump and the Republicans?
Look, it's a huge gift. This is presidential acts become permission slips, and this presidential act is now a permission slip to Donald Trump.
This presidential act is a permission act, is a permission. Man, I can't even second take. Presidential acts are a permission slip to Donald Trump for Donald Trump to be able to do his own pardons. And he's going to need to, because when Democrats get back, if they ever get back in office again, first thing they're going to do is politically prosecute their opponents if Republicans don't give themselves blanket pardons, blanket open-ended pardons for them and all their cabinet. We now know Democrats are going to use lawfare to hunt them.
There's a few things that are disturbing about this pardon. Number one, it was a jury trial. This was American citizens who took time out, did their civic duty. This was not some kangaroo court. It was a jury trial. To me, that should be even a higher bar. And he's overturning the result of the trial. I don't understand why they didn't wait for sentencing.
So Joe Biden couldn't even wait for Hunter's sentencing to pardon him. This is Joe Biden actually weaponizing, politicizing our jury system, our justice system, judges selecting schmo jury people. Remember, this is in Washington, D.C., in a court that vote 90% for Joe Biden. They put together a jury, and this jury said Hunter Biden is guilty of tax evasion, of all the gun charges, of all that stuff. He's a criminal, in other words, by Joe Biden's standards, who said patriots pay their taxes. And Hunter Biden didn't pay taxes on millions of dollars. If I was to skip out on paying taxes, say on $400,000, I'd probably go to prison. The fines would be outrageous. And Biden just sets aside his son purely for political reasons. I'm a Democrat. It's not, don't give me this love of the father stuff, because I believe Biden's also going to probably end up pardoning his brother, Jim Biden. And his claim was, well, Trump's going to come after us. It wasn't even Trump that went after Hunter Biden. It was your own Department of your own DOJ, Merrick Garland, because Hunter was such a criminal and so guilty that even Merrick Garland couldn't say, we're not going to investigate this. They had to investigate it. He got tried, found guilty, and then Biden screws over the justice system and gives the biggest blanket pardon to his son. We're going to show you all the other pardons that Joe Biden gave, how he is the biggest criminal abuser of the presidential pardon in American history.
Could have done sentencing is going to happen in this month.
Yeah, the 10th.
It felt a little early. Frankly, do what Clinton did. Pardon Mark Rich on the way out the door and leave on Marine One and get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
I mean, it shouldn't have happened in Mark Rich's case, but if you're going to do this, I almost would have run scared doing it, or at least wait, but a more proper thing. So that's one aspect of this. The 10-year get out of jail free card that he got. This is the most expansive pardon since Nixon. It's not just a pardon for what he got convicted of.
Right.
It's a pardon for anything that might have happened between, sometime the month before he started doing business in Ukraine and, the end of Biden's term.
That's Chuck Todd accusing Hunter of doing business in Ukraine. It's about time the journalists finally caught up on that story. Gee, you're only about 10 years too late. And it also implies that Joe Biden was involved, because Hunter would be a witness against the dad getting 10% from China and all those scammy business deals that they did. They're dirty and corrupt, and Chuck Todd is about to throw him under the bus in the biggest way. I've not heard Chuck Todd or many other journalists confess to this amount of observing Joe Biden's formal, corrupt, criminal activity, which, remember, Trump brought up back in the 2020 debates. And the media lied, covered up for Joe Biden, because they said, we want a Democrat. And look what has happened since. Media, instead, they hoisted themselves on their own petard, their own weapon. They basically stabbed themselves and destroyed all of media, because the only thing media has is credibility. You have one job: tell the truth. And they did not tell the truth. So they lost absolutely everything. And I'm thankful. Good riddance.
Well, what's the likelihood that come January 10th of 2029, an outgoing President Trump issues blanket pardons to everybody that worked for him over the last 10 years, that begins June 15th, 2015, when he rode down that escalator, and culminates January 20th, 2029? People will protest, and he'll say, well, he did it. People get frustrated with both siderism. You can sit here and say, oh, one is different than the other. The problem is Biden ran on a platform and a message to the public that he was going to be better than Trump.
We run a campaign that's basically scandal-free. It's hard to do in American politics these days.
That he was going to follow the rule of law. I read every transcript of the Hunter Biden trial in June. And the biggest conclusion I came away with is I can't believe Joe Biden ran for president the first time. With all of his children in crisis at that moment. He had a daughter who was in recovery, a son who clearly was still struggling, and a widowed daughter-in-law who their son got addicted to crack and who testified under an immunity deal. And they ran for president anyway.
That shows how Joe Biden was just power mad. What I want to call out is just how you have to laugh at Democrats extra hard, because they claim to be the party of women. And what did Joe Biden pardon Hunter for? Hunter, remember, his brother, Bo Biden, who Joe Biden keeps bringing up, died of cancer, died in the military. We know that's a lie. He didn't die serving the country. He actually died of some kind of a brain injury. That when he died, Hunter slept with his widow and got her addicted to crack. That is the pro-woman party. That's the Democrats saying we're pro-women and Trump is anti-women. That's how they treat women. They treat them worse than a slave. They treat them worse than cattle. They are scum. Joe Biden is scum, criminal scum. This kind of cover-ups have been going on with the Democrat Party all the time. Next time they say Republicans are the anti-woman party, laugh in their face.
And so I'm sorry, I don't have empathy for him when he writes in his rationale for the pardon that it was they came after Hunter because they were coming after me. You made this choice. You knew the situation in your family, and you put the country and your family in this situation. You feel bad for decisions you made that put he put his ambition ahead of his family, and now he regrets it. His rationale was that he makes the case that these prosecutions of Hunter Biden were politically motivated. It's the exact same thing that Donald Trump claims against him.
Well, welcome aboard the train now, Chuck Todd, realizing he's about to give you the full conclusion, which is that they absolutely are politicized. Your government and your justice system is absolutely politicized. You're a little late. Here's the 5 top presidential pardons. The ones who gave the most presidential pardons are all Democrats because they're the most guilty. They have the most criminal involvement with their administration, and they pay back the most favors. Number 1, Joe Biden. Number 2, FDR. Number 3, Wilson. Number 4, Truman. Number 5, Obama. Biggest criminals in our case. Here's a graph showing you just how exaggerated just how bad Joe Biden's pardons are. Look, that's him all the way to the right. Just before him, Trump. Tiny, tiny notch. Republicans need to start stepping up on this game because we're getting screwed over. The Democrats are putting our people in prison, and we're not freeing them with the pardon. Democrats are committing more crimes, and in Biden's case now, they're preemptively giving blanket pardons to their people so they can't even be tried like Hunter Biden.
The leading Democrat in America says our law enforcement has been infused with politics and that prosecutions are politically motivated. The leading Republican in this country has said prosecutions in the justice system are politically motivated. What's the American people hearing? That prosecutions in the Justice Department are politically motivated in stereo. I mean, if the FBI comes knocking on my door right now, I'm not going to believe them.
You, Chuck Todd, wouldn't believe the FBI?
Nope. They came to my door claiming I did something. I'd assume it's manufactured. I now and I say this,
That's pretty incredible.
well, I can't believe I'm feeling this way, but
Yeah.
I don't, the leading Democrat in America said this and the leading Republican has said this.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it is not an irrational view to now believe this.
Thank you for joining us in reality, Chuck Todd. The Republican Party says it's politically motivated, that when the FBI came to, if they came to Chuck Todd's door, he said he would assume it was corrupt and a setup. That's how bad the FBI has done in the last 4 years. That's how corrupt they are. Remember that when Kash Patel becomes the leader of the FBI and tells you he has to do mass firings, mass reformation. Remember, guys like Chuck Todd said, as a Democrat, if the FBI comes to my door, I'm going to assume that it's a setup. That is, that he is innocent and the FBI is going to pin something on him, just like they did when they knocked on Trump's door and broke into Mar-a-Lago and went through all of his documents. So both the Democrats and Republicans and the media, Chuck Todd, and me, Doug TenNapel, we agree that the government is so politicized, the justice system is so politicized that it's going to be hunting for people based on how they voted and what party they belong to, and not whether if they did a crime or not. And if you did do a crime and you're the right party, then you get off the hook. And if you are innocent and you're in the wrong party, you will be prosecuted. That's what's happening right now.
They've actually made Donald Trump look like he was right instead of them.
I'm Doug in Exile.